Welcome to the Overland Sea podcast. Today we are talking about the away game that had just happened against Liverpool, where we lost 4-1. Um, Andrew, give me your thoughts on the game. I'm still recovering and still processing. Your thoughts, please.
I mean, they made us look like we made Middlesbrough look. It's just slightly more
That's a fair
embarrassing
shout. That's a fair
playing a
shout.
different league. Well, far more embarrassing when you're supposed to be competing against them for top four spots. Yeah,
It's
there were
almost
a
final.
lot of individual mistakes from us and some very good performances from Liverpool players. Don't think anyone particularly had an amazing game. And
Nope.
Kunku, Chukwuemeka, and Gusto did okay when they came on, obviously, and Kunku got his goal. I think Chukwuemeka got an assist. I do feel slightly hard done by because of the timing of certain events that could have changed the game,
Such as.
such as a couple of penalty shouts that were waved away. But
And
I think,
checked by VAR and were told they weren't penalties.
yeah, Liverpool deserve to win the game is one. But there's been a lot of games this season that we've dropped points or we've lost when we deserve to win the game. So to not get those decisions and read the reports I've read today in terms of why they weren't given is galling.
Oh, go on then. I've not seen those. Talk to me.
So there's
Tell
an
me.
ESPN one that I read that was like, well, for the Conor Gallagher one, the ball had run off and he wasn't going to get it. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's great. But I've seen a lot of penalties given when the player never touched the ball, was never going to touch the ball, and the penalty was still given and not overturned. So I'd just like some clarity around the rule there is does it have to stop a decent chance?
I,
Because then you kind of go, well, Jota's got his back to goal. He's moving away from it. He's obviously not going to score a goal. The contact isn't that significant. Maybe don't give a pen there as well. But it feels like a lot of the reports were all three pens could have been pens, but weren't ever going to be overturned by VAR if they got it wrong. And
I
I'm like,
don't see that much. Sorry to interrupt. I don't see two things. I don't see that much difference between the amount of contact between the first penalty that we should have had, or arguably could have been given, on Conor Gallagher, where Van Dijk has lit. You can see he's moved his leg like
mm,
in the way. Whether he's meant to do it or not, whether it's cynical, I'm not saying. There is movement in that direction, and you can see Conor Gallagher has to try and run through it. Um, but I don't see that much difference between the amount of contact that was in that challenge versus the Jota one. And to be fair, I think you could also argue the same one with Nkuku, but that is a Stonewall penalty because he's gone through. He's come from behind. He's got nowhere near the ball, and
mm.
he hit his ankle. Um,
And I don't think there's not many arguments against the Nkunku ones, especially with the professional footballers or the ex-professional footballers. All of them that I've seen so far have said that it should have been a penalty for the
well,
second one. The first one, there's some grey area about. Some say there is, some say it should be a pen, some say the ball ran away. And it is just kind of like, well, we just need a definitive rule here. And a lot of the reports that I've read in terms of justifying it in term are just like VAR is not there to make the game consistent. It's there to clear up clear and obvious areas. And you're like, well, either
that's
something's
consistent,
right or it's
isn't it?
wrong. If we're going to do lines on the pitch for offsides and make it as perfect as we can there, we might as well make it as perfect as we can and get to a stage where people actually understand what the fucking rules are. Because I can't talk to anyone that actually understands what is a penalty and what really isn't a penalty anymore because there's so much fluctuation in different games. There's so much fluctuation in what's a yellow card, what's not, what's a red card, what's not. And it's got to a point of if we're going to have this system at all, we might as well get it right.
But surely clearing up obvious errors is to do with consistency.
No, because the problem is they've still got the grey area of it could be a pen, it's kind of ish, maybe not really, all not sure. And on those ones, they just go on field decision. And it's like, well, for me, a clear and obvious mistake in that game is the fact that Liverpool have been given a penalty and we haven't been given a penalty at all. And I think at that point you go, there's not a lot of difference between the one that's given and the one that isn't.
Well, especially with the Nkunku.
It becomes clear and obvious, I think, in the situation of if one is, then the other one is.
I think with the Jota and Nkunku one, I would agree with that. Yeah. Well, the other thing for me on that one is Van Dijk is at fault for both of them. So
I was frothing at the mouth when Ali McCoist was talking on commentary about how Van Dijk had a good game, and you're like, well, no, if both of those penalties get given and the game ends 3 and it's 3-3 at the time that he's making the comment or whatever it was, you go, he's probably cost his team 2 points there.
Well, the other thing about it as well is if the first one is given, and I'm not saying it is a yellow card or not, like I said, I don't know what the rules are anymore with the yellow card and stuff, but there is an argument to say that he may have got a yellow card because technically you can say that the ball is rolling away. Of course, the ball's rolling away because Gallagher can't get there to pick it up because he's had to run through a player's leg. If he gets a yellow card, he's probably not making that challenge for the second one. And he's actually then got to be a lot more careful. Speaking of which, I thought Bradley was quite lucky with some of the decisions that went his way when he was defending, because he constantly, not a lot of the time, he had a shirt hold of one of our players. And that really wound me up.
Especially I think it was one where there was a lot of
it was a physical game. It was a physical game.
This is the thing that hacked me off as well, where it's like all the reports Liverpool won all the one-on-ones. It's like, well, yeah, they won all the one-on-ones because either they came out on top or they got given a free kick for a 50-50. And they got the free kick every time it was a 50-50.
I was going to say,
I think was one that he initiated the contact. It's the same level of contact between both him and Sterling. And he gets the free kick. And you're like, not sure about that, fellas.
I do think they got home advantage. I do think Tierney gave them home advantage with certain challenges and certain things. I really do.
What I'm also hacked off about is I think if it was the other way around, every time Chelsea got VAR decisions in their favour, or the grey area went in their favour after a huge outcry from our manager of going, oh, the game should be replayed because this is ridiculous, like these decisions are wrong. I think it'll be mentioned every single time. But Klopp just seems to have gotten away with it after the Tottenham game where he's come out, absolutely lambasted the ref. The outcome of it is, one, the VAR official got punished and isn't allowed to VAR Liverpool games. And I'm like, surely this would just get brought up week in, week out, every time, because there has to be an element of the VAR is scared to even like make a decision against Liverpool. How isn't even sent them to the screen and go like, at least have a look at it because there is contact. I don't know what you've seen. And it's one that I want to hear the VARs for, if they do a ref watch and hear what they've said to each other, to make him not go to the screen at all to have a look at it. Because if he's seen that there is contact, but he thinks for whatever reason the ball was running away or whatever, it's a lot easier to take that he hasn't even been sent to the screen than if he just goes, no, I don't think that is. Because how does the ref know, like how does the VAR know he hasn't made a clear and obvious error on the basis that he hasn't seen contact? If he hasn't seen contact, he can't give it. But if he sees contact, maybe he gives it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, few things on that one, if I can remember what you said. I personally think, and some people will disagree, but I think that the fact that Klopp has now come out and said that this is his last season, I think that changes the dynamic of the Premier League for the rest of the season, because they were top of the league in that game. City was second. I don't think if City won that they could go above Liverpool. But we all know what City are like in the second half of the season. I wouldn't be surprised if there would be an emphasis to maybe help Liverpool in some ways, because it makes the title race a little bit more interesting again with the whole City-Liverpool thing. Can Liverpool win the quadruple after City have won the quadruple? I'm not saying that is the case. I'm saying that there is an argument that could be part of it. because
I highly doubt that.
well, I know I don't because
I think
I'm
it's
not
more
being
likely
funny.
that
I'm not being funny, right? Like the battles that between Klopp and Pep have had over the last God knows how many years have been quite big. Normally Liverpool are thereabouts. I mean, there's one or two seasons where they weren't, but that's because they've maybe been a transition period. And let's face it, who are Liverpool going to get in to then do what Klopp's now done to rival Pep? I think it's a big challenge.
Xabi
Um,
Alonso.
huh?
Xabi Alonso.
Yeah, exactly. But is he going to be able to do the same thing that Klopp's done? I don't think so. I don't know.
He looks like the best shout. I
I
don't
think
know.
it is Xabi Alonso. He's got a clause in his contract that comes into play, I think, this summer. Yeah, 2024 this summer. So that if Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, or Liverpool come knocking, he gets to leave. So, but anyway, I think we can all agree that we're feeling hard done by some of those decisions, especially excuse me, especially the penalties and probably a couple of 50-50 challenges on the pitch. I mean, for once, I actually got the starting 11 correct. Now,
That's why we lost.
I
We
was
put
about to say with that, I don't know whether I should be
I
glad.
11 out, we would have won. Nope.
What did you think about the starting 11 when you saw it? Do you think that Broja would have done anything different? Because that was the big difference between ours. You had Broja and Palmer, and I went for Nkuku and Palmer. Would have that made a big
Do you think we
difference?
didn't start?
Did I say Nkuku?
Yeah.
Sorry, I meant Noni. Sorry.
Yeah.
I do apologize. Noni and Palmer. Um, do you think that would have made a big difference when you saw other players in how they played in the first half of the starting 11? Do you think that we should have gone a different route? I mean, personally, I remember sending you a message during the game and saying I think Gallagher should have dropped back like he did in the first game at Stamford Bridge at the beginning of the season and supported Caicedo a bit more. I thought Caicedo looked lost, as well as the vast majority of the defense. The defense, I don't think they knew which way was up, and yeah, just
I think our midfield just kind of got bypassed. It was almost like Liverpool just took them out of the game completely.
they were swarmed. They
What?
were swarmed.
I don't think. Well, I think
They were
we had the
hunted down
ball.
in attacks. They did it
When
really.
we had the ball, yes. When Liverpool had the ball, I think they just bypassed the midfield as much as possible and gave it out to the wingers. Or I, I don't remember their midfielders actually anywhere near sort of the midfield area really getting on the ball and doing much with it. It felt a lot like if they were doing that, they were dropping slightly deeper and sort of playing 1-2s with the defenders, and then all of a sudden there was a ball through to a Luis Diaz or a Nunez or something, and our midfield just got bypassed completely.
The wingers had a lot of
Outside of
space. The wingers had a lot of space. Yeah.
outside of when we gave the ball away cheaply in the middle, which we did a number of times, and Chilwell clearly wasn't at it in that game, whether it's match fitness or what, he just wasn't at it at all in that game and gave the ball away a few times. And I think the overlapping runs, the wingers cutting inside and the overlapping runs from the fullbacks at opportune times for them really worked. And that's sort of Bradley's assist and his goal.
Yeah, and I was going to
Like
say,
two players to mark, and it made it
because
look worse for him. And he had a bad game. For me, he had a bad game because he gave the ball away unnecessarily a few times.
who was that? Sorry.
And Chilwell
Yeah,
in positions where we weren't particularly pressed, and he just kicked it straight to a Liverpool player, and then they were on the counter attack, and it causes a lot of problems. But Shield also struggled on the left when he went to left back, and before that, I think he gave a penalty away.
I was really surprised when Chilwell came off for Gattuso, not Gattuso. What on about Gusto?
Gusto.
My brain is not braining today. I apologize. I actually assumed that Gusto was going to go to left back, and
Oh,
I
I did as well,
and
actually.
I thought they were going to keep Dizati at right back, and I thought actually that's not a bad shout. And I still think I would have preferred that than Badiashile going to left back. See, I thought he was struggling as a centre back today.
Mm.
Well, not today, but in the game. So yeah, I mean,
I don't think anyone in that first half covered themselves in any glory. I just don't think we're in the game at all, really.
No, we weren't, but we weren't allowed into the game. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think we were allowed into the game. I mean, and credit to Liverpool because
Mm.
they press and they press for the entire 90 minutes. Like it's a bit like who was the game that we had the other day? And we pressed for was it Middlesbrough? And we pressed for 70 minutes before we dipped. Um and or maybe it was yeah, it might have been, yeah, because then they scored. Um but we didn't really have a shot. We didn't have a chance. And then there were certain players that I think they look shell shocked, if I'm brutally honest. I just don't think they were able to recover and get their head in the game. The defense didn't look stable at any point.
No.
The wingers as well. I don't think that. I mean, if they weren't given the direction or the directive to track back, I mean, Sterling lost Bradley for his goal.
Yeah.
Um, there were a couple of times where it happened to Noni as well, but he was able to recover because of the spacing where the defense was as well.
Mm.
There was time for him to recover. And he did so okay. But yeah, it just I think the tactics overall just weren't right for the game at the end of the day. Um,
I think Poch came out and admitted that. And his comments after the game were like, maybe it should have been a pen, maybe it shouldn't. Like, maybe
yeah,
we should have pen, maybe we shouldn't have done, but we were not good enough today. And that's like the final excuse. I think maybe he'd relied on that if it was 1-0 and we fought and we were in the game and it was just like we were unlucky. But the performance was not good enough. I think he said the tactics weren't right and we'll have to revisit it and start again for the Carabao Cup and go again. But I think we said pre-match it was probably the worst game of the season to play them in terms of Klopp just come out midweek and said that he's retiring, like he's leaving Liverpool, and you're like, they're all going to be fucking up for this. They're all going to be up for the rest of the season. But that first game,
I mean the crowd were relentless as well.
mm,
Um, and I mean this is the other thing, and we've touched on it briefly there with the fact we've got Liverpool in the FA the League Cup final.
mm,
Um, I mean the only thing we could say is either players will hopefully know what to expect, or we will be able to put out a different team or change our tactics so it's more appropriate for the game. What did you think of the subs? Did you think that the subs came at the right time? Were you happy with the substitutions that happened? I've written them down. I can tell you what they were if you
what
need
I
refreshing.
think you had to make changes at half time. I think you brought on Mudrick, Gusto, and someone else.
You brought on at well, it said 46 minutes, but it can't be right. It was half
It was
time.
half time, yeah.
Mudrick, Gusto, and Nkuku. So Mudrick came on for Madueke.
Yeah,
Gusto came on for Chilwell.
yeah.
And Nkuku came on for Gallagher. Now, I've only got one issue with one of those transfers. One of them I could say I'm not really too sure about, but one of them I don't fully understand. I didn't fully understand in those three that are at half time. And then later on we brought on Chukwuemeka for Caicedo in the 66th minute, and then in the 85th minute we brought on Cassidy for Palmer. I personally don't know why Gallagher came off and Caicedo stayed on. I thought Caicedo was struggling that entire game. Not the entire game because he came off in the 66th minute, but
I don't, I don't know. Is the answer. Um, Maybe he wanted a more out and out holding player. Bear in mind that we've only got two. I think personally, I probably would have taken Enzo off on the basis that I think he out of the three of them is the weakest defensively.
yeah,
Um,
he is. Yeah, he is. Yep.
if you're going to do that, I get trying to bring an extra forward on and shifting Cole Palmer behind the striker. Not that it didn't really work. I don't think Noni did a head of a lot in the first half. I think Sterling was quite lucky to stay on.
Well, that's what I meant with Noni. It's a 50-50. With Sterling, it's a 50-50. And Mudryk had a great chance when he came on, but should have done a lot better.
Yeah, It's not a game that I probably would have brought Mudryk on in because I just don't think it's going to help him. I don't think it's going to help his confidence at all.
Well, other than that, I don't think he actually really got into the game. He had a couple of battles with Bradley. They were 50-50s and they went to Bradley's way.
Yeah. Um, like there's part of it that I get. I think Nkunku coming on makes a hell of a lot of sense. Whether
Yeah.
it's for Connor, maybe not. And I'm hoping by the time we get to Carabao Cup, we've got a fit Nkunku who's sort of somewhat firing that it gives us a bit of threat, or at least a bit more threat. Hoping that Chilwell will be fit, like match fit. I'm hoping Gusto will be match fit, and then we've got better players to stand up to against their wingers that are ridiculously quick. Whereas having Dizazi playing right back isn't helpful.
No. Is it the end of February? Like the last weekend of February normally?
25th of Feb.
Yes, that would be the last weekend of Feb. Yeah. So we've got a month.
Fingers crossed we get them back. Fingers crossed we get Colwell back. I don't think that makes a difference. How much of a difference to make up a 4-1 deficit, I don't know.
But as we said, some of the stuff was 50-50s. You know, it's amazing once those 50-50s start going in your way and the momentum can change. It says a lot. I mean, we got 4 yellow cards in the first half. We didn't get any in the second. They got 2 in the second half quite early on. And actually,
Well, there's one point where they had done 15 fouls to our 11. And I was like, how the fuck have we got 4 bookings? They've got 2.
yeah, overall it was 15 fouls to them, 16 to us. I mean, I was amazed with the possession. It was 52-48 to them. And I was like, really?
I mean, there were spells where we were just sort of playing around with it at the back and
Yeah,
not
but
really ineffectual.
even still, I couldn't believe it was that.
And I think they were just quite direct with it, to be honest.
Mm.
They didn't play about with it a lot.
No, they were fluid. They moved the ball so quickly. I do think that we should have been a bit tougher in certain challenges. Like there were certain times where they were able to breeze through the midfield. And certain players, even in defence, just too standoffish. For me, they just leave too much of a space. I don't know whether they're worried about someone getting in behind, and I don't know. But there are times where they look like they didn't know what to do, and they were scared to put in a challenge in case they gave away a free kick or something. It looked like Chelsea from a couple of months ago. I was really surprised by the performance. Really surprised.
I don't think I am. I just think we've got this in our locker. We've just got these really weird away games where we just don't turn up at all.
Well,
And then
speaking
we've
of
got
away games,
wonderful performances in the locker as well. And you're like, I don't what?
well, speaking of away games, in our last 7 away games, we've only won 1
Nice.
against Luton.
Nice.
Like, what the fuck?
It's not great.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
That is really bad.
Yeah, I agree. I don't
Do you know what? I know I haven't posted it yet, but I kind of wish we hadn't done keep, sell, and loan thing until after this game.
yeah.
Tell you what, a few of them would be definitely fucking on a different list. Um, any positives to take away from that game?
And Kunku got a decent goal.
He
Chukwuemeka
did make
looks
a
like a bit of a
difference.
player.
He did make a difference. His runs are so much. I want to say mature. Like they're decent runs. Like he reads what's in front of him so well, and he actually makes good runs. You know, the amount of times I see us make a run, it's behind a fucking 6'3" defender. I'm just like, what are you doing? You know,
direct, like straight direct, and you're like, this bloke has to play the best pass you've ever seen in your life to somehow stick it over this player and stop it on a sixpence perfectly so it doesn't run through to the goalkeeper.
no, exactly. I mean, that's it. Like when you're running behind the defender who's 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", and you're on like the edge of the 6-yard box, because a lot of keepers, especially Allison, he'll come out and get it. So you've got to get past 2 players. He's not going to be standing on his line waiting for you to see if you get the ball and react to a save. Excuse me. Right, we've been on this chat for quite a while now. Um, I don't have anything else to add. Do you?
No, I could bash Sterling for 5 minutes, but it's probably not beneficial.
I'm not being funny. I actually think half the team deserves a bash. The one that I would actually say, do you know what? Petrovic, I thought made some good saves. I know he let in,
Yes, that's
no,
yeah,
he let in
that's
four,
good.
but he actually got us out from going to potentially to double figures, if not eight. It was. I thought he had a great game.
He
I'm not.
made
I
some
don't
good
hold him.
saves.
I don't hold him accountable to any of the goals.
No, no, I can't think of one that he should have done significantly
No.
better with that would have resulted in a save. There's a lot of ones that, like long shots, that he saved in a way that meant we weren't going to concede from him
Yeah, he
that you
pushed
would
it
see
away.
from other
Yeah, yeah,
goalkeepers.
absolutely. No
And I
cheap
thought,
tappings. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's difficult to slate him. Um,
I mean, Badiashile. I mean that was it. The last goal where he's casually running, and who got the last goal?
Diaz,
Yeah,
he just
Diaz.
goes in front of him.
He just gets it. He gets him round the sides. He doesn't
Mm.
get in front of him. He just gets round behind him. And Badiashile's is so nonchalant about getting that ball because he thinks he's got it because he doesn't know where the man is. And he's quicker than him, but also just in terms of reaction time, he's quicker than him. But he wants that ball more.
Mm.
And it's just like, what are you doing? Like you're 3-1, 3-1, 3-0 down at that point, and you're still pissing about with it in your own box. Anyway, I could vent for ages about this game. I'm not going to. So with that, shall we bring this episode to an end?
Yeah,
Thank you all for watching this somber episode of Overland and Sea. And hopefully, God help us, we um we have a better performance against Wolves on Sunday. So please stay tuned for the pre-game analysis for Wolves at home. Thank you all for watching.